Hey Merriment Makers, here are 13 ways to get out of a bad mood and lift your spirits fast, whether it is physical or emotional. I hope that these tips will boost your mood. Practice deep breathing. I know it's annoying to hear, but if you breathe in and out, you're gonna reset everything. Also, here's a really good tip. You can balance your energy by switching nostrils. If you figure out what your dominant nostril is, the one that you're breathing in air through more, you can switch it and start breathing out through your non-dominant nostril, and that's going to help even more. Number 2, put your legs up the wall. This is good all the time. Inversions are good in general. They're soothing. It's one of the reasons at the end of yoga why you put your legs up the wall. It's just literally there's an actual yoga term for it. But it also really helps with inflammation. I have pretty bad knees. I have arthritis and tendonitis in both of them, and if I do that every day, it helps severely with lymphatic drainage and also with just swelling, inflammation, and pain. So it's good for you regardless. It's also just soothing. Number 3, go outside barefoot. There are so many scientifically backed benefits to what this is called, which is earthing or grounding. But really just walking outside barefoot, even if you only have cement and you're like on a city street, that's okay. Just go outside barefoot. A lot of us wear socks and shoes even indoors, and there's a lot of things to being barefoot why a lot of Eastern cultures insist that we are barefoot inside and are barefoot even outside. So experience earthing and feel more connected to nature. It's about balancing the ions in our cells. So you can look it up, but I'm just giving you fast and easy tips. Number 4, jump on a trampoline. It's a little bit more of a not easily accessible situation. They're about $100 on Amazon. But it does boost your lymphatic system. It's also fun. And even if you don't have a trampoline, I think just jumping up and down can be helpful as well. You could probably even jump on a bed, or you can be a merriment maker about it and go to a mattress store and see how long you can jump on the mattresses before you get kicked out. I don't know, but jumping in general, it actually really helps. It helps your boobs too. It does. And also, again, lymphatic drainage. Okay, where are we at? 6, 5? I don't know. Roll your tongue clockwise. It's this Kundalini technique that helps you release anxiety. Really just roll it around. Just roll your tongue around. I think anything that is just focusing on one part of your body is going to help you relax. Put your hand on your heart. This is something that I do a lot. I try to do both, but in traffic, I'll just do the one. But this actually it's proven to release oxytocin. So just put your hands on your heart, sit there, and breathe. You can also, as a double tip, cross your hands. I'm doing it like you can see me. Cross your hands over your arms like you're giving yourself a hug, and breathe in that way as well. Also, drink water. It keeps your headaches away. It keeps you hydrated, meets your basic needs. We need more water. Okay, more emotional and mental ways to get out of a bad mood. Cry. A lot of times we are just keeping everything inside of us. I talk about this in the embodiment module on the Merriment Makers, and honestly, I think that entire module is worth the entire price. But it's just not letting everything get pent up and letting your emotions flow and find relief. Watching a feel-good movie. If you need recommendations, I have plenty. I share some of them on Instagram, but I have a much larger arsenal in the Merriment Makers. But some of my favorites are Amelie, Pippi Longstocking, Matilda. Really a lot of comedies. I love stand-up comedy. I love Pete Holmes, John Mulaney, Kurt Braunohler, Kristen Schaal. There's a lot, but yeah, if you want to check more about that, you can check the Merriment Makers. Gratitude. Really, you can just anything that's happy. I think a lot of us are getting anti feels about the word gratitude because it's becoming like this whole like overly spiritualized thing. It used to just be a fun thing, and now it's like, oh, just practice gratitude, like, and it's annoying, I get it, but try to maybe think about it as something that you're happy about instead. So write down everything that makes you happy in 60 seconds and just reshift your focus, or just think about it as everything that's good, right? Think about everything that's good that you can think about. what's good. You know, a lot of the times we're thinking about, oh, this is bad, this sucks, this is making me angry, I don't like this is why I feel like this is what's frustrating, this is what I'm scared about, this is what makes me feel fear, this is what I'm insecure about, this is what's not going to go right, this is what I'm pessimistic about, this is what I did bad in the past, this is what makes me fearful, this is what I'm worried about, right? That's where we're coming from. Most of the time, we're living on that scale. But if you shift it and you like flick yourself and you put a post-it up or you set a reminder and it's like, okay, stop. What is actually going good for you? And you're like, nothing. And that's not true, right? And remember that gratitude is by nature a comparison. So if that might mean that it's better for you than it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago or yesterday, or it's better than it is for someone else, right? So like, for example, my social media lady, Francine, she is in Nigeria, and right now there are like some really horrible things happening with their very corrupt government, and they're really just basically it's so corrupt that they have the Federal Communication Commission has like basically just shut the internet down. It's not completely down, but they have slowed it to a halt. So with the intention that they will make it so that the people that are protesting can't be showcased across like nation lines, right? So it's people are protesting because it's so bad to live there right now, and the government is corrupt, and the their dollar has become less worth its value by 3 times in the past 2 years or less, and people are protesting in the streets about it, and they don't, and the government's like, please stop, we don't want other people to know, we want to keep this in-house. And their goal is to, and the method of doing that to keep it in-house is to like slow the internet down to a halt. And yeah, and I'm not here to like necessarily share negative news. It's, first of all, news is only negative if it doesn't align with our values and our ideals, right? That's something we know. But it's to give you perspective, right? So for right now, I can say, well, I'm really grateful that I have internet, right? A lot of the times we get gratitude when we observe the absence of something. So for example, this past weekend, 44,000 people in my city went without power because there was a huge storm. And I was like, oh my God, I can't imagine not having air conditioning right now. It's like 100 degrees. I'm really grateful I have power. I was prompted to think that because of the people that were in my neighborhood who were without power. So never think that comparison is not a tool. Comparison is a tool when it really hurts you and you stop living as a result of it, right? Comparison is a tool when you look on social media and you're like, ugh, I'm so jealous of them and what I could be that I'm going to literally stop taking action as a result of it. Jealousy and comparison doesn't harm you if you use it in the right way. So gratitude is by nature comparison. I just want to make sure that you know that. And that was clearly the tangent that was going to happen as a necessary thing by Mary talking. Okay. The next thing, and I don't know where we are, I'm guessing number 10, is to meditate with 4 fingers on your pulse. So there's just something that happens when there's multiple fingers going on your pulse. You can try 2, 3, 4, you can grab your wrist. It doesn't really matter. All of these things, remember that there is a science to some of, like most of these things, right? All of these things really are based on physiological, scientific, and psychological research backed. But if one of them does not work for you, right? If putting your legs up the wall hurts, and it's not because your like hamstrings are too tight, or I don't know, like crying, you know what I mean? Like if something doesn't work for you or creates more anxiety, and it's not because like of the physical, what am I trying to say? If something doesn't work for you, try something else. There are 13 things in this particular list that can be of a healing nature for you. And if something says like do something with 4 fingers and it's not going to hurt you to try it with 3, and it feels better to do it with 3, then fuck off. Just do it with 3. It doesn't really matter. So like it's an example. It's not a protocol. It's not a rule. This is not written in stone. They are scientifically backed because X number of people out of the majority found it to be helpful and saw results. But remember that this is all self-report and this is all qualitative. So remember that like if you are seeing results, it does not matter. Okay? So don't get hung up on the logistics of stuff. Don't get hung up on what kind of deep breathing you have to do, or how long you have to keep your legs up the wall, or what kind of earth you need to walk on barefoot, or what kind of trampoline you need to get, or oh God, was it clockwise or counterclockwise that I was supposed to roll my tongue, or how many things do I need to write down that I'm grateful for in order for this to kick in and to work. Shut up. It doesn't matter. Stop making your brain that's doing that, the things that your brain is talking about, like right there, that's why you're unhappy. Truly, right there in the moment. That perfectionism, that categorization, that needing for everything to be perfect right there, that is the reason that things are not okay. If you can let go a little bit and just say, okay, breathing, let's try that. I'm going to try it. Notice how I feel in the beginning and notice how I feel after. I'm going to do it and see if it makes me feel better. And if you can't identify what feels good and better, that's the bigger problem, okay? I think a lot of us are not even sure how we feel right now, and we're not sure what better even is or what it looks like, how it feels, right? So we're just in a constant state of fight or flight. We're in a constant state of fear, pessimism, anger, and we're not even aware that that is our baseline, because humans are an amazingly adaptive species. So the way that we can adapt to homelessness so quickly, and we're not even aware that it might even be that negative. We're like, it's not that bad. We can make this work. We are also that adaptive to trauma and stress and negativity and pessimism and fear and anguish. So if you don't even know what you're looking for in terms of lifting your mood, peace, ease, and tranquility, feeling good or better, then that maybe is like the place to start. What do you feel right now? And how can you make it feel better? So on Monday, right now it's August 7th, and on Monday, August 12th, I'm going to be teaching a free Merriment Mondays live on my YouTube, and it's going to be called Feeling Your Feelings, and I'm going to be going over some of the parts, some of the sections from the iconic embodiment masterclass inside of the Merriment Maker. So I'm going to be going over what is embodiment and what else am I doing? I'm going over what is embodiment, how to do it, what it feels like, and daily routines and modalities. And those are only like a couple elements of the actual masterclass, and that's only one resource inside of a much larger module, which honestly, that entire module is something that I think is worth the payment, and that's only one of 30 modules. So I'm going over like a quarter of one masterclass inside of a module that has like 40 resources, and that is one module, and that is like one of 30 modules. And I think that module is worth the payment of all of the modules, like the whole price. But anyway, on Monday, I'm going to do a live that's called Feel Your Feelings, and I'm going to go over some basic stuff. So if you don't know like how to feel your feelings yet, that might be a good thing to come to. And inside of the Merriment Makers, I go over like somatic processing, which means an embodied cognition. And those are all fancy words to explain how to connect your brain to your body, because a lot of us kind of just walk around as our body just being this like transport device, and we really don't know how to identify emotion. We don't know how to identify the difference between a sensation and an emotion, and feeling has become something that is so difficult because we are sensitive. And if you're listening to me, you're probably very empathetic, and you probably were even much more sensitive at one point, that you kind of turn the dial off in order to survive. And there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I mean, I get it. It's just, you're not going to access all the beauty that you can do, all the success that you can have, all of the amazingness that this world has to offer if you kind of completely turn off your emotions and your sensitivity and everything, because it's a gift. It's a superpower that you have. And a lot of us will end up dulling that with drugs and dissociation, because it's easier to not feel. But it's another kind of life that we live, because when we dull it, however we end up dulling it, it just comes with different kinds of side effects. It's not necessarily easier, but we feel like it is. We just pick a different set of side effects. So, well, there's the second tangent. Okay, so meditating with 4 fingers on your pulse, and if you want a mantra, you can say Satnam, Satnam, 2 words. And you can pick any mantra whatsoever. So like transcendental meditation, people like gatekeep the crap out of that and act like you have to get a teacher, and they act like you have to pay $1,000 to get in. No, you literally just need a mantra, and people act like it has to be based around your birthday, and that's like one of the reasons that you need to get into a teacher and have it be special. Honestly, transcendental meditation is literally saying a mantra over and over again. And the idea is that you're saying it every time that you have an external like monkey mind thought. So every time that you're like, nam, and then you're like, oh, I need to do the dishes. And you're like, okay, I noticed that I had a thought. You say nam again, nam. And you basically might for 20 minutes just be saying nam over and over and over again. And you can say it out loud or you can say it in your mind. I probably should say it out loud, but like, it doesn't really matter. But the point is that like every time you think something, you just kind of say it over again. And the goal is to get to a point where you're saying it less. And really, that's kind of like the whole thing with TM or transcendental meditation. Okay, the last 2, I promise you 2 more. Use EFT and tapping. EFT is called Emotional Freedom Technique, and it's something I started doing like 8 years ago, maybe, at least. And God, I just did a bunch of testimonials videos with some merriment makers who've been with me since I started the Merriment Makers for 8 years, and everybody said that was like one of their favorite modalities for being transformative with their own evolution, and that they really value that as a tool that's inside of the Merriment Makers, which is really great. And if you don't know how to do that, you can literally just YouTube it, and you can follow along with pre-guided ones. You just type in like EFT, and then you type in the issue that you're having, and then somebody like Brad Yates or Gala Darling will come up in the YouTube, and you just tap along with them. And you can also find that inside the Merriment Makers. Okay, and then the last one is to take a drive with music, relax and unwind. And if you don't have a car, you can take a walk or stroll or roll. All right, so if you want more tips, just come inside the Merriment Makers. That's my suggestion. Or follow me on Instagram at Merriment Maker. And if you like this, please leave me a 5-star review wherever you're listening. That would make me really happy. Okay. Oh, if you're looking for the Merriment Makers, uncustomary.org/merriment-makers, or you can just go to uncustomary.org. Alrighty, I love you. Goodbye.